Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Dana. I will be your host today, and my guests are Vicki Delaney and Jim Goodrich, and they are from Continuous Process Improvement Systems, but they go by CPI Systems. So, hello, Vicki and Jim. How are you both doing today?
Hello.
Hi, Dana. Fabulous as usual.
Doing
Love
great,
it.
Dana.
Yes,
Love it.
the
Love
sun
it.
is shining and the birds are singing and things are good.
That's important. All right. So before we dive into some of our questions, why don't you take a minute to just introduce yourselves, tell us a little something about you and maybe something a little bit about, your history.
Okay. Well, I'm a mechanical engineer, which is very unusual for women. Um, I've been in the management system business since 1994 and have assessed and helped over 300 companies become certified to any of the various ISO standards. And I have a passion for this. Obviously, I'm still doing it. There were 13 years in manufacturing engineering, which actually gives me a very strong background in manufacturing. And that background is in almost every kind of industry you can imagine.
Well, that's great. And that's going to come in very, very handy. So that is fantastic. So, Jim, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, Jim Goodrich. I am an industrial engineer, and I always enjoy and relate to process improvement. So, as an industrial engineer, and then a certified quality engineer, and then became a certified quality auditor. So, my background is I retired from the Postal Service as the supply chain integration manager. And before that, I was a supplier performance strategies manager. So I really have a passion with working with companies and contractors to improve their processes to meet requirements. That's a lot of satisfaction. And I think that's why Vicki and I are both still doing this. We've retired a couple of times and um, as a industrial engineer too, as a quality engineer, I should say, working with Lean and Six Sigma projects, I really wanted to expand my business more into ISO. ISO was a good uh, kind of a proxy for best practices. And so I sought out Vicki Delaney as the ISO simplification guru. Literally, she had the two document system that made it easy for small companies, the ones that I was supporting as a consultant, to understand. So when you hear Vicki talk about it, you're not going to realize at first that you're talking to a guru, but you soon will. So we've taken that simplification into cybersecurity compliance. It works very well for any type of business process improvement that really starts with the business processes.
That's great. So now you sought out Vicki. So let's talk a little bit more about how the two of you, how you found her, and then how you got started.
Stalking.
Well, that's a hello, it's shocking. That was kind of a funny story. 2019, I was finishing up with an ISO consulting job, and I was really burned out. It's like, okay, I'm done. And so at that point, I was concentrating on saving marriages. I know that sounds a little strange for an engineer, but I actually came up with a process for it based on batch. So here I am, frustrated because they wouldn't go anywhere. I always think the universe is always trying to tell me something when I hit my head against the wall and it doesn't work. Let it go. So here comes Jim. LinkedIn. Ping! I want to work with you with ISO. I'm going, ISO. Oh, no, I'm doing marriages. But I guess I'll contact him. Well, lo and behold, I have to say, and don't tell our spouses, but I actually found my business soulmate with Jim. because the two of us have more fun together brainstorming, coming up with ways to help companies better. And it's just been pure joy. All my life I'd been looking for someone to play with. And there was Jim just waiting. So I dumped the marriages and we're back in ISO. And eventually we discovered cybersecurity. So now it's Jim's turn.
That's right. Well, taking Vicky's, cue into, as we worked together, it was challenging, just learning, diving into the subjects we were looking at. We looked into various ways of improving processes, and it was probably, a couple months in before Vicky actually kind of lifted the hood in a sense and showed the simplified 2-document system. And I had never seen that before. I had the role of oversight for looking at suppliers' ISO systems if they were required for the Postal Service. And it would literally be a manual sitting on a desk or on a cabinet somewhere that was collecting dust. So, as I had to review that, make sure that it had the proper clauses for a process-based system, I was quite often blowing off the dust, and get the dust off. I became very excited. And it was probably a couple months after we had already started working together where, Vicky said, well, here's the 2-document system, very understated about it. And I got so excited because I'd seen many systems and they were never that, it was always taking here to some procedure and so on. And this 2-document system takes care of that. It includes the basic required policies, refers to other level 2 and 3 procedures, work instructions, but it also includes all the records that you need. And so probably months after we, had created and tweaked different templates for different systems that we were starting to support, and Vicki had already been supporting, we did a hard pivot into cybersecurity, and we found that our simplified system works just as well with that. We do a gap assessment, put the SPUR score in, the NIST assessment SPUR score, create the policies and procedures, and then provide turnkey through our IT partners, turnkey IT configurations, which often affect the documentation in terms of procedures. We build out your SSPs. That simplified approach has helped us greatly there. We've taken what can be a very daunting task, the system security plan, and created a simplified approach where, starting with the assessment and asking about the company, we'll take a look at the org chart and say those required data flows, network diagrams can be looked at in terms of what data flows within the organization chart. And then you extend that to suppliers and customers, and you have your sensitive data flow based on what people understand, their org chart, what's required as a flow. Now we take that org chart, turn it into a data flow and network architecture diagrams. And then we help just step by step get into what's a very complicated task.
Yes.
Definitely. Really, using that org chart, that's one thing that a non-technical business owner and the non-technical people, they can understand that because they know, I know Susie, I know Johnny. Okay, yeah, they send information this way, they send that. So that's fantastic that you guys do that. And I think that's got to be very helpful to the companies that you work with, that they can follow along that. And one thing I want to talk about too, which is definitely sounding like secret sauce, is that little 2-page document that you were able to, that Vicki had, and now you're able to use it with your cybersecurity clients, because that's going to be the next thing I wanted to talk about is, what separates you from, your competitors. And that definitely sounds like those two things were really, really big. So I think that that's fantastic. I don't know if you want to talk any more about that, but having that 2-page document and then starting with the org chart I mean, just saying that to somebody's going to put them at ease. Like, oh, okay, good. It's not a 200-page manual, and I understand what you're talking about.
Yes,
Like,
we have to start there because unfortunately, a lot of consultants that are working in cybersecurity are really IT people, and they don't have business background. So they don't understand the impact of the entire organization on the security. So we do this so that people can start thinking about, well, who in our organization is handling this type of information. And then the other thing that we do, it's really important to simplify the network diagram. I have seen some where you're just going all out with virtual machines and everything else. But for a very small company, our objective is to try to get it down to 2 or 3 licenses that are in the cloud, for the government cloud, to keep the cost down for them, but not just the cost, it's the management of the system. So, the whole 2 document thing started for me wanting to simplify for small companies because I worked for Allied Signal as a quality engineer in aerospace. And yeah, I felt so sorry for those people. I go out to the suppliers and I was like, oh my God, nobody's helping you guys. They're just they throw stuff over the wall and then they're left to try to figure out themselves. Well, that's happening now with cybersecurity. When the primes throw documents over the wall to the subcontractor many times is sitting there and say, I know how to do this. I know how to make it. But now you're telling me that there's something in here that's secret or, I have to keep secure. What is it? It's all supposed to be marked with CUI, but we're hearing from many, many, many consultants that by the time it drills down to the level of our client, it's not. So, they're completely ignorant to the fact that they've got controlled unclassified information. They don't know that they have to do something with it special. And so that's our objective is we really, really worry about the little guy because they don't have time to try to learn something new. As if I told you you had to learn Spanish in 5 weeks, man, you'd go crazy. Well, cybersecurity is almost as bad. But so that's Jim and my passion, and our mission is to, 1, keep the costs down, 2, make sure they understand what's going on. But the third part is we have to make it work for them. So there are many canned systems out there, and it's a nightmare. We bought a couple of them, and both of us are going like, what? I mean, we know what the stuff means, but my God, all these words. Our owners are going to fall asleep after the first paragraph. So the 2 document system manages to simplify it down to terms that they understand. So, Jim, why don't you explain the spreadsheet?
Yeah. Well, and, to prove that for any system that you've implemented the system, you're following the policies and procedures, you have basically a book of records that shows that this is the output of that process. Here's my first score. Here's my vendor scorecard. Here's here's my communications with the customer where they've said that we have an improvement to make. And here's how we're going about doing that. These artifacts, whether it's for ISO or for CMMC, in CMMC, we have the same record, that same spreadsheet that has basically where are my artifacts, where are my records of compliance. And so with CMMC, we'll start with an interview and say, who are your process experts? And then as we get to talk to them, that would be the second person typically. We say, well, what are your records? And we make reference to that and include that in a Excel workbook. That's essentially a whole workbook of separate tabs with the required records for compliance. So we think of compliance broader, really broader than compliance. We have to show compliance, but it's really process maintenance and process improvement. And in order to do that, it's it's a it's a periodic review process. We don't just create this, leave it on the shelf until the next year's audit is required. We work with the client all year long. That periodically is normally monthly for management review, for ISO, and of course for cybersecurity. There are various schedules for monitoring and maintaining cybersecurity compliance. So as we get together, we make sure those schedules are actually complied with.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, who would you say is your ideal client as far as industry and size and location and all that kind of stuff?
I would say all industries. We have clients that are in the business of providing labor. We have clients that are in logistics. We have clients that are electromechanical assembly or metal shops. My expertise is manufacturing, of course. Um, and there's very little that's made that I haven't seen, that I have not audited. So I bring that knowledge with me. The other thing is that we'd like to keep the number of the companies small, like no more than 100, although we do have some clients right now that are a lot more than that, and we've had to adjust our attitude. So that, oh, okay, well, we can do that too. So, but our passion is for the small company because they know they don't have the bandwidth. And we can help the owner not only become compliant to whatever standard they have to be compliant to, but to help them grow their business. I think that's one of the most satisfying things that we do is when we meet with them, we talk about, okay, what problems are you having with your customers or finding a new customer base? And it's just more fun to see the revenue go up and the profits go up and the improvement through the months. And for us, it's small companies, and it really doesn't matter what industry they're in. They could be banking or real estate. It's all about continuous improvement and making money.
That's right. I'd like to add to that a little bit too, is we do both have a passion for helping that small business owner to say, here's a path for process improvement is really about revenue generation, cost savings. So we do talk in terms of money, and that is the language of business. And those are the processes that we focus on because those are the main processes that keep you in business. Cybersecurity is kind of the same now in that it's not just compliance; it's actually doing things the right way to be secure, limiting your risk. And so it really is about risk management and being, kind of steeped in risk management and process and business process improvement is, I think, a great foothold to help those smaller clients, but also we found ourselves and we have fun with the larger clients as well, or medium-sized businesses, but we've, also have facilities, construction, distribution and logistics, and more often, IT managed services. So MSPs that are often supporting DoD contractors. Um, the the IT managed service providers are also, uh, we all work together in the same ecosphere, but also MEPs, the manufacturing extension partnerships. their mission, they're a NIST-based support group for small manufacturers in each of the 50 states. So working directly with MEPs has been a great part of our business as well. And in fact, we've done, you, 25 NIST assessments, at least half of that coming from the MEPs that we work with.
That's
Oh,
great.
and I can mention one more, the C3POs or certified third-party assessment organizations, which are the CMMC assessment organizations. Vicki and I are also trained assessors, certified CMMC professional. So we can sit on those teams, but also we support our clients. Those C3PAOs need ISO 17020 as a certifying body. So we really do have that ISO expertise and niche. We have the ISO simplification guru in CPI systems, but we also work with them for process improvement. Um, and, so it's been really a wonderful partnership. Lots of people that are willing to share in this CMMC ecosystem.
Yeah,
I think the most sharing group of business
absolutely.
people I've ever worked with.
Yeah, they are unbelievably very, very open and transparent. And that's what makes it so much fun. There's nobody, holding on. They're just like, here. Again, I love it.
Well, I think the goal of everybody is, we're to try to protect our nation's information, and
Absolutely.
everyone that I talk to, they're all very passionate about it. And you're right, they are very open to let's all work together so we can fix this problem. And it is a rather large problem that needs to be adjusted to, but it's okay. We're all working on that. We're all working on that. So, well, this is really, really fantastic. Is there anything else you want to add before we go?
Hmm. Hmm.
No, I just want to kind of emphasize that our focus is on you as a company. And you may not know anything about ISO or CMMC or cybersecurity. We will make sure that you understand it by the time we're through. If you can't handle all of it, we will we will either take care of some of it for you or find someone to do it. And biggest focus for both Jim and I, number one is we have to have fun. So one thing I tell our clients, if you don't want to have fun, we don't want to work with you. So just keep that in mind. But our focus is really on success, profits, success, improvement. When you look at ISO, the intent is to have an effective, adequate system. If it's not, your profits won't go up. And so we like to help you stay focused and grow. That's a fun part. I mean, we're watching quite a few of our clients grow. And so that is amazing.
That's fantastic. Well, it's so nice talking to you, and I absolutely just adore both of you. So let's share with everybody what the best way to get in touch with you is going to be. And I'll make sure that we also put on the screen your email addresses so they can email you. But is there any other way to kind of get in touch with you, maybe connect with you on LinkedIn or anything like that?
Absolutely. LinkedIn is a great spot. Email is great. And our website, CPISys.com for continuous process improvement systems. We like to forge partnerships. We'd love to talk with you and see how we can each work together to help the customers. And as small manufacturers, we're thrilled to be part of your improvement story. We dive into a project completely. I think, as you can hear, Vicki saying as well is that we really work with the business owner executives to make sure that our whole goal is to improve your business. Otherwise, we're not successful.
Well, that's fantastic. That's very nice to hear how passionately you take that. So that's great. Well, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate that. And thank you everyone for watching. And until next time, bye-bye.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Dana.